Tonight, Northern Health is trying to recruit and retain healthcare workers as the worker shortage deepens. Plus, reburying the past, a time capsule waits for a new home. And a surgical tower for Prince George may be coming sooner than we think. News at 5, I'm Adam Burles. Eddie is off on holidays. The Prince George RCMP recently completed a large drug bust. On December 20th, the RCMP's street crew executed a search warrant in the College Heights area, which resulted in what police are calling a significant seizure of drugs that is a large blow to the local drug trade. Around 2.5 kilograms of suspected cocaine were seized, alongside 2.5 kilos of suspected meth, 1 kilo of cannabis, and 1 kilo of psilocybin. This was alongside other illegal items like a stolen gun and other items relating to the drug trade. With the drugs now in possession, RCMP say the investigation can now begin before police lay any charges.
We will send samples of the suspected drugs that we seized to our forensic lab to have it further tested to determine unequivocally what types of drugs they are. At that point, we would be able to put together a Crown package for our Crown Counsel in order to determine any charge approval. An investigation into illicit drug trafficking is definitely lengthy. There's a lot of processes that need to be looked into and undertaken in order to make sure that we have a fulsome package before we submit anything to the prosecution service.
Recruitment and retention of healthcare professionals. It is an ongoing crisis wherever you live, and in fact there is an anticipated shortfall of 10 million healthcare workers globally by 2030, and filling the gaps will be tricky. Cheryl Jan reports.
The list of external job postings for Northern Health is lengthy and challenging for the health provider, and the recruitment efforts never end.
We continue to struggle filling registered nurse positions as well as allied health positions, and there's a number of professions that fall under allied health, including occupational therapists and physiotherapists. So we continue to maintain a 20% vacancy rate. Which we are quite happy with the fact that we've continue to maintain that level, but we do want to see that level decrease over the next year.
Northern Health's footprint is 600,000 square kilometers in size, roughly the size of France, with a number of smaller satellite communities peppered across the health authority. That poses one of the largest challenges.
It can be dependent on profession. However, what we are finding the most challenging right now is our smaller rural communities. For example, we've got some challenges in Kitimat. We have some challenges in the Northeast, in Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, and we continue to experience challenges in very rural communities such as Fort St. James.
Enter the post-secondary institutions smattered across the region with expedited programs such as the Healthcare Access Pathway program operated out of the College of New Caledonia. Students are working as healthcare support workers while they study.
We started with 16 students, and from 2021 January to around October 2025, would have had 20 cohorts and would have graduated upwards of 400 students. So that's one way that we're providing means for entry.
It is one of the programs aimed at meeting the demands for trained healthcare professionals, and the college has added many new seats in the health sciences department.
We are constantly trying to meet the needs of our local partner, Northern Health, who is the major employer of our graduates, by having creative mechanisms for action. We work closely together to make sure that we're agile and we're responsive within our constraints and our confines.
Northern Health says one of the best recruitment tools it has is lifestyle, work-life balance, and family atmosphere. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
The surgical tower may be closer than many think. A recent Northern Health Board meeting identified 2 capital projects that looks very hopeful. Once again, Cheryl Jan has a story.
The operating rooms at University Hospital of Northern BC were built in the 80s and are far too inadequate to meet modern technological needs. Nor can a cancer patient get something as simple as a stent at this hospital. Back in 2017, during a trip to the wildfire evacuation sites, newly minted Health Minister Adrian Dix was asked about the needs of this hospital.
In 2008, I think I had visited operating rooms that were in 2008. Were seen as too small and insufficiently modern for both the demands and the ambitions of the hospital here, right? And that was 2008. I understand there's some initial plans being made, and obviously we'll be supporting Northern Health as they go through that.
Flash forward more than 6 years later, and two major projects show up in Northern Health's capital projects list. The first being nearly $2 million for a cardiac care unit at University Hospital of Northern BC.
Our capital stock in healthcare, there's something called the facility condition index. And for all those people who think I use too many statistics, here's another one, which is 0.52 province-wide at all our facilities. And that is poor. That means poor at all the facilities across BC. So we're constantly making small capital improvements, and that would be one of them.
The next line item on the capital list is of more significance. It reads, UHNBC new acute tower works. But as with any major project, Minister Dick says early works need to be done.
That's true in Prince George. When you're taking down buildings and putting up buildings, you have to prepare for that. And that's what early works is about. And so you say, well, you haven't announced the full project yet at business plan stage, only at concept plan stage. Well, this is preparation. We need to do this anyway. And I said, let's go and let's do the first stages. And I can tell you people in Prince George are enthusiastic about let's go. And so that's what we're doing there. That's what those early works are for. And you know, it's the order of things you have to do when you've got an existing site and you have to use the space set aside for parking or other things. You need to deal with that issue first, and that's going to be how the whole hospital project gets built. So the early works have been approved, they're proceeding, and that's the tower. Yeah.
Work on the initial step is expected to begin in 2024 and be completed the following year. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
And emergency rooms across the country are being stretched to their limits. 3 hospitals in Quebec were operating at more than 200% capacity. And today, cases of respiratory virus have been rising for months, leading to an increase in ER visits. Staffing and bed shortages are also a problem. And this next story shows what some doctors are calling a crisis in Canada's emergency departments.
Can you come in?
He's feeling much better today, but over the Christmas break, William Sanderson was so sick he had to visit an emergency department.
It was 8 hours in the waiting room and then pretty much 4 hours in the hospital room itself.
Sanderson says the Edmonton area hospital was packed with patients. Across the country in New Brunswick, a similar scene.
Waiting room was packed. There was people everywhere, all the way down the hall.
A shortage of healthcare workers and a surge in respiratory virus cases are once again bringing the front lines of Canada's health system to its knees.
Every person who waits in one way or another is suffering. I've seen wait times lead directly to people dying, including children. I have seen wait times leading to people lying with fractures for days on end.
Most cities post ED wait times online. On Wednesday morning, major hospitals in Vancouver and Toronto were listing wait times of over 8 and nearly 7 hours. Calgary and Edmonton's largest hospitals listed between 4 and 6 hours. In Quebec, where emergency departments are tracked by capacity, 17 of the 20 emergency departments in the Montreal area were more than 100% full. 3 of those over 200%. 4 years after the start of the pandemic, healthcare workers are still walking away faster than they can be replaced, leaving hospitals understaffed and vulnerable to a surge in patients seen every year because of the flu.
That's why it's so urgent and why we're calling on all of the governments across the country to work really hard to increase class sizes, to promote team-based care so that we can share a lot of the work.
In the short term, doctors say patients can help too by getting vaccinated and using emergency departments only when required. Hospitals are expected to remain very busy for several months to come.
Downtown crime is one of Prince George's most discussed topics, and the organization Downtown Prince George has joined the fight in addressing crime not just in our downtown, but the entire province. Tommy Osborne has more.
Save our streets. Not just a mantra, but the name of the organization that Downtown Prince George recently joined. With a mission of making our streets safer by urging government action, Prince George businesses are saying this is needed as property crime remains a big issue.
It's frustrating. It costs us a lot of money, and it's not just something that wears on us as business owners downtown. It's business owners across the community, not just business owners, our staff, our customers. Any reasonable person wants the folks that are vulnerable on the streets to get the help that they need to get a stable roof over their head. But in the meantime, a lot of folks around the community are being victimized constantly on a daily basis, and it's really straining.
When Save Our Streets first started in October, they had 30 members. Now, only a couple of months later, it's nearly doubled to 59, which of course includes downtown Prince George. What makes this huge increase even more extraordinary is the fact that Save Our Streets wasn't even actively recruiting. The concern level was so high that many organizations and businesses sought them out and asked to join.
Whether they be concerned citizen groups dealing with crime and violence in their community, or business organizations that are getting very concerned about it as well. It demonstrates that there's a tremendous level of interest and concern over these issues.
Ketchum emphasized SOS isn't a prescriptive organization, meaning it's not going to tell the government what specifically it should do. After all, Ketchum says that's the responsibility of the officials we elect to handle issues like this. However, SOS will do everything it can to both help out and keep the government accountable by collecting data about what its members are seeing.
We think government will appreciate having the information that we're able to provide on key performance measures, because it will help them determine the success of their own programs.
Until action and real results are taken to slow down crime, SOS and its members will continue to push hard to keep our businesses and communities safe. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
The Quesnel RCMP needs your help to track down Shadow Laflamme with some arrest warrants. Laflamme, a 33-year-old from Quesnel, is wanted on a list of warrants from Powell River and Quesnel. The individual in question weighs 145 pounds, is 5'8", and has brown eyes with black hair. If you spot Shadow Laflamme, they're stressing that he's considered dangerous, so please do not approach him. If you've got any information on where he might be, or if you've seen him, call the Quesnel RCMP. Prince George is home to time capsules that are placed around the city, and recently city crews moved one of them because of plans to rehabilitate Millennium Park. Dave Branco has more now on the future of the capsule.
Last fall, plans were made to clear out the Millennium Park encampment. Crews took the time capsule that was buried in the park in 2001 to keep it safe.
This is really exciting. This is the time capsule from Millennium Park. So this was interred in August, I think, of 2001, and it is filled to the brim with time capsule objects from that year, with the intention, being in Millennium Park, that it wouldn't be open for 100 years.
It's 3 feet tall, made of stainless steel to keep it watertight, to last 100 years buried in the ground.
There's a lot of digital material in here. The community mostly brought us images of kids' rooms and hockey teams, those sorts of things. But we are a science center, and we also included a water sample. There's an air sample in here, a sample of soil. So 100 years out, it'll be really interesting to take those samples and chemically compare them to what's gone on in Prince George in the ensuing years. So there's photos, there are zip drives, there are these samples that I did talk about. There is a Mr. PG in here. There's a whole array of objects. It's just one of those things that's fun to do, and it'll be really exciting in 2100.
The exploration place won't open the capsule, but they'll keep it safe and stash it in their collection vault.
I've already spoken to my curators about having a flag that will come up in the vault in 2100 that will say, hey, it's the year, we're bringing this back out. You know, the city may decide that they'd like to inter this someplace else in the meantime, and that certainly is always a possibility, but as it stands, it'll go into our vault, it'll be safe, and it's going to do exactly the same thing it would have done had we left it in the ground.
Dave Branco, CKPG News.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is $1.39.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest gas price in BC is in Quesnel at $1.38.9 per litre. Manitoba currently has the lowest gas prices in the country on average at $1.14.8 per litre. Meanwhile, BC has an average price of $1.59.4 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
The Prince George Cougars finished the old year with a 4-1 victory over the Kamloops Blazers on New Year's Eve. So how would 2024 look to the Cats? Well, pretty much the same as they squared off with the Wenatchee Wild last night, where the team continued their dominant style of hockey.
Cougars taking on the Wenatchee Wild. We won't delay as Riley Height scores the first Cougars goal of 2024 and Prince George takes a 1-0 lead. What's better than 1? 2. As not even 30 seconds later, Oren Strome gets in on the action with a nifty backhand, and the Cougars see themselves up 2-0. The Wild would get one back before the frame ends, but it's off to the second with the lead for the Cats. The middle frame would start just like the first. As 45 seconds in, Riley Height finds the rebound and pots his second of the night, and the Cougars restore the 2-goal lead. After Wenatchee gets one back, Zach Funk closes out the second period, but he wasn't done there. How about a second goal for him to start the third period? But it's Zach Funk we're talking about, so we already know he's going to record the hat trick. 6 hat tricks this season for the 20-year-old. He now leads the WHL and CHL in goals with 40 of them in 37 games as the Cougars take their third straight 6-2 final. Joshua Ravensbergen turning aside 26 of 28 while picking up his 13th win on the year, while Riley Height hits the 70-point milestone this season. The Cougars now head to Seattle to take on the Thunderbirds this Friday.
And to continue our Cougars discussion now, we have Anthony Correa joining us. Anthony, welcome back from Christmas holidays.
It's good to be back.
And you look like you have a new addition with you in the form of your tie. Tell us a bit about this Mona Lisa tie, and is there a reason why you have it?
Well, yeah, so as you can see right here, I have the Mona Lisa tie. I asked my family for a bunch of funky ties. You know, Zach Funk scoring a hat trick, so kind of coincidental there. But my dad gifted me this Mona Lisa tie that he used to wear. And there's a reason I'm wearing this. It's not just because I love fine art. It's also that we are about to talk about the Cougars. And so far this season has been a masterpiece, and it looks like it will be even better. So yes, the Mona Lisa tie, probably the last time I'll ever wear it on the desk or have it will be appear on the desk unless someone does, you know, an artsy little live hit, but first time for the sports, and it's a pretty exciting one.
Well, I think if they continue their masterpiece through the rest of the season into the playoffs, I think you should bring it at least once more.
Yeah, maybe for a good luck charm, who knows?
Good luck charm for sure. Okay, now we're going to turn over back to hockey. So Cougars have made quite a number of trades in the last few days. Something we've been waiting for. We've been talking about this before, about how Mark Lamb was seeming like he was going to need to make some trades. Finally made those calls. Tell us a bit about these trades, Anthony.
Yeah, a little bit of a Christmas present for the Cougars. You know, Christmas rolls around, and then Mark Lamb gets on those phones and improves the team. And you know, a couple big deals. The big one with Chase Paul and Boria Vallis. We'll start with the Chase Paul's deal. You know, the 20-year-old. They finally get that third 20-year-old, and this guy is massive, 6'5", and a great defensive defender. Can eat up minutes. Kind of exactly what the Cougars need on the back end with all that offensive firepower. I got the chance to see him in Kamloops when I was with my family. They came to town, 4-1 victory, and Paul's was great out there, making great plays. The other one I didn't get to see, but I'm looking forward to seeing him in Prince George's Boria Vallis. This is another point-per-game player the last 2 seasons with the Regina Pats. Maybe Connor Bedard helps him out, but this year without Connor Bedard, 33 points in 35 games, and this guy can dish the puck like no one else. And not giving up much either. You know, with Paul's coming in, there's a little bit of a jam on the back end with the blue line, so Tyson Bryczkowski, unfortunately the odd man out, but Mark Lamb capitalizing on at value and then only giving up 2 third-round picks and a 4th-round pick for 2 very good players that will solidify them in the playoffs. So, you know, this masterful trade deadline or masterful trade period for Mark Lamb, and you know, who knows if he's done yet.
So this is really bolstering the team ahead of the playoffs, and we're going to switch to that a bit here.
Yeah.
Lineup, of course, obviously with these new additions, lineup has changed. Zemer's out. What can we expect? You know, it looks like they're going to go the full way. So what are we going to see in terms of a playoff lineup when that comes around?
Yeah, obviously looking ahead, we're going to do a little bit of hypothetical here, and we are going to assume, you know, Zemer hopefully, you know, is in the lineup. So with Zemer in the lineup, this is kind of what this looks like. This is going off Wenatchee's lines last night, and then you add Andre Becker on that second line, who's having a wonderful World Juniors with Team Czechia, five assists in 6 games, and William Kometz, who's one of the top D-men on Slovakia, and he'll play with Hudson Thornton on that top pairing. A lot of experience for those guys. And then, Funk, Height, Parasak. Who knows if they stay together or if Zemer does come back and Mark Lamb shuffles it around a bit. But those top three lines are dangerous. When you're having Carlin Dezane on the third line, like, how good is your team? And in that fourth line, I just call, the massive giants. Hunter Lang, Aiden Foster, Nicholas McLennan, all very big guys, all very physical. So yes, this team looks stacked. And not to mention, you have Carson Carrolls, the rookie who may be coming up, who's impressed, and Jet Lajoie, who's impressed at times this year. So plenty of depth on the end. So if there are injuries or Cohen Zemer's not there, plenty of depth going forward towards that playoffs.
Yeah, lots of depth, and it's going to be exciting to see where we head with this team into the new year. Playoffs are just right around the corner, so it's going to be exciting to see where we go for this. And trade deadline, only 6 days away, so we're going to be seeing some interesting developments with that too, I'm sure. Anthony, thank you very much for joining us.
There we go. Thanks for having me.
The TSX is up 53 points to close at 20,871. The Dow Jones is up 10 points to close at 37,440. And Canfor went up 15 cents to close at $17.69.
Good evening again, everyone. We are going to see a few extra flurries moving back in tonight, or at least a slight chance, but we'll look back at the day where it was pretty good out there for the most part. We saw some clearing throughout the region. Moving forward, though, we have a couple of different systems that will impact us. So you'll see here on the Futurecast, as we get into our Friday, a bit of a break to start. Then through the early morning, we have a chance of flurries and a better chance of snow into the evening hours as a result of this frontal system coming through. And then some breaks here and there before the next system, which is really the timing on that likely Sunday night, although a few flurries here and there before that. But Sunday night, we could see a good chance of snow or periods of snow moving in, and that's expected to carry into Monday. So wintry conditions are on the way, and of course, it's been a while. So winter is still upon us, even though it hasn't felt like it, but we are looking at more of that snow and cooler temperatures coming as well. Not so much real true Arctic air, but certainly colder air coming into the weekend. 0 though for our day tomorrow, our Friday, around the freezing mark. Again, overnight lows a little cooler. Our winds tomorrow through parts of the day will be gusting southerly winds up to about 40 or 50 kilometers an hour. So that could cool things down a bit as well. Fort St. John, -11. It was a chilly one there today. It will be another cold one and snowy tomorrow. We do have some milder temperatures south of us, but still anticipating to see some precipitation in the form of either rain snow mix or just straight flurries here and there. Across our region, our broadcast region, we are looking at a lot of instability. 2 degrees for Quesnel, +1 Vanderhoof. Lots of snow here and there, at least chances of precipitation on and off throughout the day. In some areas, we'll get a little bit more than others throughout Friday and Saturday. But again, we do have breaks in the clouds for some parts of the weekend. A wet one along the west coast tomorrow, a bit drier in through Edmonton, -1 expected there for the daytime high. It'll be cooler through the prairies again. It's been cold pretty much all week there, or at least a little bit cooler, but looking at not a lot of sunshine, but instead some snow moving back in. Further east, some sunnier skies there, though. So some flurries for us for the weekend. And then Sunday night, as I mentioned, is the next system we're tracking, which will likely bring periods of snow for both Sunday night and carrying into Monday as well. So here is our extended forecast. Burns Lake sitting at about -9 tonight. So chilly tonight, some evening snow, morning snow as well tomorrow, and then a bit of a break for Saturday and parts of Sunday. But you can see those temperatures are really starting to cool down, especially overnight. We're down to -21 in Mackenzie on Saturday night, and only a high of -11 on Sunday. Snow Sunday night, but likely into Monday. Later into the day is your better chance for some snow, but still tonight and tomorrow, lots of precipitation coming through. Some evening snow in McBride, -8 tonight, highs of only -1 the next couple of days. Then you're cool and clear on Sunday, but still some instability to be had as we get into the early part of next week. Quesnel, sunnier weekend actually, not too bad, -3 with sunshine on Sunday. Tonight and tomorrow quite unsettled, and the same for us. We are looking at the chance of flurries tonight. Into our day tomorrow, some flurries on and off through the day. And again, some accumulation is possible. Periods of snow, or at least a chance, for Friday night. And then looking at a pretty unsettled Saturday, but some sunnier skies on Sunday.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
It's the annual winter multi-sport event that happens here in northern BC as the Prince George Iceman is celebrating its 37th anniversary this year. Considered the ultimate winter challenge, the multi-sport event includes an 8-kilometer ski, a 10-kilometer run, a 5-kilometer skate, another 5-kilometer run, and an 800-meter swim. It's a race for everyone from beginner to elite athletes and includes solo and relay team categories. The event is spectator-friendly with many opportunities to cheer on participants and showcase the city's greatest recreation facilities, including the Otway Nordic Centre, the Outdoor Ice Oval, and the Aquatic Centre. Registration is now open with everything set to happen on February 11th. Anthony Correa will bring us the best of the best in sports in tonight's CKP3.
Let's kick off tonight's countdown with an old hockey saying, pucks on net.
Ferravari on the pinch. Devils come away with the puck in transition. It's McLeod. Score! And the Devils retake the lead.
Michael McLeod from his knees throws it at the Washington goalie, and it slides in. That's why you always shoot the puck, kids. Next, OT winners.
There's Riley with the puck. Gets it to Marner in a good spot. Matthews scores. It's a game winner. And number 30 for Austin Matthews. And the Leafs win back-to-back in Southern California.
Austin Matthews is on a tear this season. His 30th goal of the year ends up winning the Leafs the game. Is it too early to say he'll be chasing the goal record? Finally, a legendary sequence.
Away by Walker, picked up by Bogey. Deep! Got it! Got it! Bogdanovich! Here we go. Buckle up on this Wednesday night in Salt Lake City. JC behind the three-point line. Markkanen screens out. Triples up! Got it! Markkanen tries to finish off Detroit. AB going coast to coast. He'll throw up a prayer. Got it! Wow. What a game! Clutch buckets throughout the night.
Utah would end up pulling away in overtime, but we're just admiring the clutch shots all around, as good basketball takes top spot in tonight's CKP3.
That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, your last look is the Triumph sculpture on the Gateway. Have a good night, everyone.